The end draws near. The doors to the realms of madness are about to open and imprison me inside forever. There's only one way to stop it, one that will deliver me to a far more forgiving place. I hope. That night changed everything. It all happened in the wee hours of the night. Temperatures were low during the first few months of the year, but on that night it felt near freezing. Still, I woke up burning hot, drenched in sweat, heart racing, and breathing at a fast pace. A nightmare, I thought. Little did I know that the real nightmare was about to unfold. To my surprise, Sarah, my wife, was not beside me in bed. The outside lights that illuminate our bedroom through the window had also vanished. The room was dark, pitch black. I boosted myself from the bed and marched to the door, but as I opened it, my heart stopped. The apartment had dissolved into endless fields of black, extending into unfathomable depths. Above, I could see the moon, or at least something that resembled it. Bigger and closer than usual, but also painted in a dark purple color rather than the usual pale tones. For reasons that I am unable to explain, I ventured into this void place. Any sense of time or presence vanished when the door behind me was no longer in sight. The moon continued its steady climb as I pushed deeper into the void. There was nothing in sight, a deafening silence, and a ghostly purple glow cast from the moon above me. This vision terrified me beyond belief. Without grasping why, I continued the journey into the unknown. As I pushed through the dark and void depths, an impossible structure appeared. A lighthouse with a light atop aimed at me. If only I knew what I know today, I would have never marched towards it. I walked for what felt like hours with the moon high above as my witness. My hands shook at the uncertainty of what could be inside that lighthouse. As the moon reached half of its climb, I landed at the lighthouse, a unique sight in the vast void around. Walls made of chiseled gray stone erected on top of a concrete floor, and a single wooden door at the front. Though, it was the engraving at the door's core that caught my eye. A balloon-shaped head in the center is embraced by 3 limbs on each side. It resembled an octopus or a spider. I moved closer and pushed the door handle, peeking inside. It was there when I first saw it, the black stone monolith. Triangle-shaped, 3 horizontal lines carved near the top, and the same engraving as the door on its sides. The endless void outside horrified me, but the horror became even greater when I saw Sarah. She stood behind the black stone, gazing at it without a flinch. Her body was stripped of clothes, and her eyes were as dark as the surrounding void outside. My heart grew heavy as I understood that she was no longer my Sarah. Something sinister had happened to her. I yearned to hold her and tell her that I would rescue her from this mad dream. Yet my intentions never came to fruition. Terror seized my body as I saw her feet rising from the floor and her body floating in the air. The movement was fast and sharp, as if a puppeteer was pulling strings attached to her body. When the ascension came to a stop, the monolith began throbbing with a dark purple aura. This eerie aura grew larger with each beat, painting the inner walls of the lighthouse in a dark purple tone. I tasted true madness when shadowy dark limbs grew from her back. 6 in total, 3 on each side. Frightened, I observed as each limb enlarged until it became as tall as her. They danced in harmony with one another as if they had always been part of her body. I took a step back when the mesmerizing dance paused. The pause was brief, and before I could make sense of what was going on, they began approaching the monolith. The closer they became, the brighter the purple aura throbbing from it grew. When they finally touched it, my knees sank to the floor and I crawled to the nearest wall. It was the first and only time I heard a sound in that place. A deep hum comes from the monolith. It sounded pleased, as if it had been yearning for it, like a lover reunited with its absent partner. The last thing I remember is what came next. Sarah began chanting, and her eyes became the same color of the aura radiating from the monolith. I had never heard that language before, but it sounded ominous and ancient. As the chanting halted, a stream of purple light blasted from the monolith into Sarah. I reached to her, but as my hand touched her body, my mind entered the realms of madness. There I saw hundreds of impossible beings kneeling and chanting the same words as Sarah. They all gazed at an enormous shrine where Sarah and a colossal monstrosity stood. That monstrosity was the creature depicted on the lighthouse's door and the monolith. Sarah and that thing were being worshipped like gods by these impossible beings. In the skies, creatures of various shapes danced to the chanting sounds below. More mesmerizing even were the enormous man-o'-wars bobbing between them. That's the last memory I have of that eerie place before I woke up in my bedroom with Sarah still sleeping beside me. No shadowy limbs or purple auras around her, just my Sarah. When she woke up, I told her about what I had experienced. She laughed and dismissed it as just a nightmare. Any ordinary person would react in the same way I would have. Nothing of what I had told her could exist in the world as we know it. It was a nightmare, a bad, crazy dream. I tried to assure myself of that for days, but the more I dismissed it as unreal, the more my mind made it real. It's at night when the lights are off and the bedroom's door closed that I am lured back to those realms of madness. I see the lighthouse, the monolith, and that eerie place with impossible creatures. What frightens me the most is the idea that Sarah is part of it all. The creatures worshipped her and the six-limbed monstrosity, like gods from an ancient world. I don't know what is real anymore. The thought of the existence of such creatures hidden somewhere in our world drives me crazy. But I cannot cope with the idea that Sarah may be part of it. The end is near. I slip my head through the rope's noose and tighten it. With a kick on the chair under my feet, life starts fading away. A soothing and peaceful sensation engulfs my mind and body. As the last bits of life vanish from my body, I hear a voice. "No, don't do it, please!"